Welcome to the first ever South in preview. And of course, we're going to be here now every single week, going through all the weekend's fixtures with, of course, the man of all knowledge around all these fixtures. And of course, he's Steve Whitney, of course. And Steve, I mean, we'll start off with saying hello, and it's going to be an exciting new venture for both of us.
Yes, it certainly is, and I apologise in advance with my voice because I've had a cold all week. Not COVID, but I've had a cold all week, which has affected my voice. So I shan't be shouting at the referees tonight very much.
Well, let's start off then, Steve, as you normally do with your previews, and we'll start off then with the Premier Division Central, and of course there's runaway leaders in that division at the moment in Banbury United. They're a whopping 20 points clear at the top of the table, and they look to go further ahead this weekend at the Plant Hire Community Stadium.
Yeah, they're of course it's non-league day as well, and Banbury are a very well supported side, home and away, and they'll take plenty of supporters on their long journey to the Suffolk coast on Saturday, which is new. Of course, it's non-league day, and Lowestoft Town will be hosting them, and it won't be easy for Banbury because the Trawler Boys are currently bottom of the table, desperately fighting to stay in the division. They're 4 points from the safety mark, so Banbury won't have an easy task against a team fighting for survival.
Mm. And you always find that, I think some fans will look at that, won't they? And they look at that game and think, well, 3 points, we'll just turn up, go down to Lowestoft, turn around, come back again, and we've got 3 points in the back pocket. But as other people have said to me, these games are the ones that can be the banana skins.
Yeah, I think if you're a team looking to clinch a title, which, I mean, they're 20 points clear, Banbury, so it would take a catastrophic collapse for them not to win the title, to be fair. But I'm sure that Andy Wing's team would rather play somebody in mid-table with nothing to play for than a team fighting for survival.
Absolutely. So, I mean, looking at that then, I mean, second place, Coalville Town, I mean, what are they up to at the weekend?
They're actually only a few miles down the coast from Lowestoft, as they travel to Victory Road to play Leiston, who are still trying to chase a top 5 spot. Adam Stevens' Coalville side are probably resigned to the fact that they can't catch Banbury now for the title, but we're desperately keen to finish second for home advantage in the playoffs. They're currently 3 points better off than third place Russell Olympic, with 2 games in hand. Leiston go into the game in 7th, 7 points adrift of 5th place AFC Risdon and Diamonds, so need to get back to winning ways, having dropped 4 points in the last 2 matches.
It's interesting, I suppose, that the one interesting thing about Leiston, or we call them Leiston, you know, so it depends on how you pronounce the show, but how you pronounce the T, but there's a lot of people would say one way, some people would say the other. But I mean, Russell, that they're at home to Stratford Town, and did I see something on the internet during the week that Stratford parted ways with their manager during the week?
Yeah, Tim Flowers, yeah, former England goalkeeper, Blackburn Rovers goalkeeper, yeah, he's departed, and Stratford suffered a midweek loss to relegation-threatened Hitchin Town on Tuesday night. So Liam McDonald's pick side hold a 2-point cushion over 4th place Peterborough Sports, but Jimmy Dean's sportsmen possess a couple of games in hand as they welcome St Ives Town to the B Arena. And the Saints are back in trouble near the bottom of the table after losing to Hensford Town in midweek, so we'll be equally keen to get something from their short trip to Peterborough.
And Peterborough seem to be one, you know, through the years, just looking from the outside in, it seems to be one of the sort of the stronger teams in that division as well. Would you have expected them to be a little bit further up, maybe a little bit closer to Banbury? Yeah,
definitely. I think they would too. They struggle to get massive support because obviously Peterborough United is the big club in the city, but they've got a fantastic setup there and good infrastructure around the club. But they struggled a little bit in mid-season. They had a bit of a wobble in mid-season, which probably cost them a crack at the title. But you know, that they had a fantastic couple of seasons and lost out by COVID more than any other club, because they were miles in front, weren't they? When COVID struck the first time, so I think a lot of people feel a bit sorry for them, but I'm sure they'll be back. They're a very, very strong attacking side, and I'm sure they'll be somebody that nobody wants to face in the playoffs. AFC Diamonds, they make the trip to the Trico Stadium to play mid-table Redditch United on Saturday. The Reds were beaten 1-0 last Saturday at Royston Town, while Andy Burgess, who's the new interim manager at Diamonds, his side were held to a 2-2 home draw by their former boss, Andy Peakes' new Tamworth side. I understand that was quite some game at Hayden Road last weekend, with plenty of banter going on between the fans, I think, with the managerial switch. Alvechurch, they're 6th, and they trail Diamonds by 4 points. And they have battling Hitchin visiting Lye Meadow on Saturday. But the Canaries have won their last 2 matches to move out of the relegation zone, which will please League Chairman Terry Barrett, who's chairman of Hitchin, of course. Although it's very tight down there, and still going to be a battle. The 2 other big games involving clubs in relegation trouble sees Biggleswade Town, who surprisingly hammered Needham Market 5-1 on Tuesday. They welcomed 10th place Stourbridge to Langford Road. Rob O'Keefe's side are sitting in that awkward 3rd from bottom spot, which could cause a playoff, which I think everybody's trying to avoid. One of those relegation playoff spots. And just below them, again, surprisingly, are Bromsgrove Sporting, which, again, I think a lot of people are surprised to see them down there. They're below Biggleswade on goal difference, and they travel to Leicestershire to play Barwell, who still need a point or two themselves to avoid being sucked into the scrap at the bottom. Bromsgrove Sporting are the team in the worst run of form at the moment, and they've lost the last 6 matches, the last 5, all by 1-0. And wins for both Biggleswade and Bromsgrove could see Nuneaton Borough, another big club, surprisingly down the bottom there. But without a game on Saturday, they could drop into the bottom too. The 2 other matches on Saturday are mid-table encounters, with Hensford Town hosting Royston Town and Tamworth travelling to Bloomfields to take on Needham Market. And the Lambs still require a point or 2 just to be sure. I think to be sure, to be safe.
So Needham Market, though, I mean, we said about Needham Market, and literally, in surprise defeat there. Do you think that's the sort of like after the Lord Mayor show type thing with the with that sort of the run that they've had with the in the trophy as well, and it's sort of caught up with them a little bit?
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think it's it must have come as a like a balloon popping, really, with the end of that trophy run. I mean, it was, they did the league proud. There's no doubt about that. Reaching the quarter-final stage of the trophy, and by all accounts, putting up a really good performance against Stockport County, who look like they're going to be win the National League comfortably. So Kevin Horlock's side can be proud of what they've done this year, but I think they are suffering a little bit of a hangover, if you like, from that situation.
And I mean, moving into the Premier Division South, that championship could hardly be any closer. I mean, only 2 points between current leaders Hayes and Yedding, and from 4th place Taunton. So a really sort of exciting finish to the season. And tell us a little bit more about what's going on this weekend, as you said, non-league day in Premier Division South.
Yeah, I mean, where Banbury look like they're coasting the way to the title in the Premier Division Central, this couldn't be tighter, really. And like you say, it's really bubbling up to be an exciting finish. Paul Hughes's Hayes and Yedding side, they are level on 75 points with Farnborough at the top, who moved back to the joint top spot thanks to a last gasp injury time goal from David Pratt on Tuesday evening that earned a 1-0 win against struggling Dorchester Town. And on Saturday, Hayes welcomed mid-table Tiverton Town to the Sky X Community Stadium, while Farnborough make the trip to the Raymac to play Salisbury. Met Police are third, and they too are on their travels as they play at Dorchester, who are currently fourth from bottom. And only 2 points above Kings Langley, who hold that tricky third from bottom spot again. And Kings Langley make the long journey to Plymouth to take on Truro City on Saturday, with the White Tigers still not giving up on the late burst towards the playoffs, although they did drop a couple of points on Wednesday night when they drew 0-0. But they won't, they'll be there or thereabouts. Taunton face perhaps the toughest test on the day as they journey across to Privet Park to play Gosport Borough side, who are 8th, but only 4 points off a top 5 spot. So it really is a tight situation up there. And Western Supermare are currently 5th and face a challenge from a number of teams just below them. They will hope to keep their place in the playoff places when Hendon make the trip to the seaside on Saturday. Cheshire and Yate Town are 2 more teams who will look to keep pressure on the Seagulls as they host Poole Town and Swindon Supermarine respectively on Saturday.
That's a long trip, isn't it? You know, for them to go all the way down to Truro. I mean, that's some, you know, Kings Langley to Truro. That's a journey and a half to start with, isn't it?
Well, they've cut an hour or so off it by going to Plymouth, but it's still, yeah, a hell of a journey. But at least they're not having to do it in midweek. That's the big bonus. Yeah. I think they would rather do that on a Saturday than a midweek. Hartley Whitney in 18th spot have a 5-point advantage on Dorchester going into the weekend's home game with Walton Casuals. The bottom 2 of Wimborne Town and Merthyr Town already look doomed, to be honest. They're both away, with the Magpies at Holloway's Park against mid-table Beaconsfield Town, and the Martyrs visiting what you'd call an inconsistent Harrow side, who seem to blow a bit hot and cold.
So what's going on, Steve, with the league committee this year? Then it seems like everybody seems to be a bit struggling this year on the football front.
But it's a strange situation. I mean, Merthyr, to be fair, had that year out, didn't they? Where they didn't play at all. So it's got to be hard to have nothing to do on a football field for a year and then come back straight away. They had to keep the players happy. I know a lot of them were loaned out into to various places, but of course there was no football in Wales anyway, so they couldn't loan them out to the local sides playing in the Welsh leagues. But it's got to be tough on them. Wimborne probably are one of the lower budget end of the clubs in the league, so probably not a surprise to see them down there. They're well supported, to be fair, and their support level has kept very, very strong, which is great credit to them. And they're a nice, friendly club, but they'll regroup. I'm sure they'll regroup.
But I suppose arguably the game of the day has got to be in the Division 1 takes place at the Causeway Ground, with relegation threatened Cinderford entertain third place Bristol Manor Farm.
Yeah, both teams need the points for different reasons. The Foresters to back up their midweek win at home to Willand Rovers in their battle for relegation, and Manor Farm to maintain a place in the very tight top 5. Frome Town are back on top of the table and lead second place Cirencester Town, who welcome Willand Rovers to the Corinium Stadium. Only 3 points separate Manor Farm in third from Winchester City in 6th. So again, it's another tight end of season coming up for Division 1 South. Plymouth Parkway, I think everybody's looking over their shoulders at. They broke into the playoff places after a 4-1 home win over the team in 7th, Sholing, on Tuesday. and they move up the M5 to mid-table Slimbridge on Saturday. Another side who seem to blow hot and cold. They have some, a good result one week and an indifferent one the next. So you never know what you're going to get with the Swans.
Steve, would you say though that Plymouth Parkway would be the team that most people wouldn't want to play in the playoffs if they make it, and they wouldn't want to see them get the sort of second or third place where it automatically gives them that home tie and you've got that bit of a travel? Yeah,
and I think the only downside I think to Plymouth Parkway's situation at the moment is that they're still on a lot of games in hand. So they're going to play in a lot of games in the last few weeks of the season. So whether they may suffer from fatigue, I don't know. But winning games gives you that momentum. So I'm sure they'll be the team that everybody wants to avoid come the playoffs. Winchester, they're at home to second from bottom Mansfield United on Saturday. Mansfield lost 1-0 at home to Highworth Town in midweek, and they'll be desperate for the points at the bottom end. AFC Tottenham currently occupy the final playoff spot, and they too are at home on Saturday as fourth from bottom Bideford AFC head to the Snow Stadium, buoyed by last weekend's 2-0 home win over Slimbridge, which keeps them 2 points above Cinderford at the bottom of the end of the table with a game in hand. Sholing, whilst obviously disappointed to have lost at Bollythorpe Park against Port Parkway on Tuesday, are still in top 5 contention as they possess games in hand, but they must put an end to a run of just one win in 8 games if they're to stay in the hunt, starting with Saturday's visit of Highworth. Barnstaple Town have probably resigned themselves to the fact that they'll be finishing in a relegation spot, and they welcome Evesham United to North Devon, while Melksham Town and Portland Rovers have little left to play for, apart from pride, as they meet at the Invalid Arena at Oakfield.
I must admit, there's some really fascinating names of stadiums in the 2 leagues that we discussed so far. I mean, some of them are absolutely superb. I mean, when you listen to some of them, they're really good. But I mean, looking at the Division 1 Central, and it's really starting to hot up now, I think, for the playoffs and promotion places. I mean, Bedford look like they're probably going to take the championship there, and then with Berkhamsted drawing 0-0 with Welwyn Garden City during the week. But just looking at the league that I've got up in front of me, Berkhamsted played 32 with 73, Dunstable 32-62, Ware 32-60, Northley 32-60, Welwyn Garden City 30-60, and then there's an 8-point gap then down to Tame. So probably, I don't know, 5 into 4. In that league, possibly. But it's been a tough week for Welwyn Garden City. But Bedford, I mean, are they your champions?
I think so. They've got a 3-point advantage at present, and but they've got a tough game on Saturday. As they've got 5th place Northley visiting the Erie. Like you say, the Millers are one of 3 sides on 60 points. But arguably, the game of the day takes place at Broadwater, where 2nd place Berkhamsted welcome 3rd place AFC Dunstable. Title race looks to be between Bedford and Berkhamsted, as they possess an 11-point cushion on 3rd place AFC Dunstable.
I mean, would you say this weekend then that this weekend it's sort of advantage Welwyn Garden City this weekend? If he was looking for an advantage this weekend, with the fact that you've got, as you said, Bedford, Northley, Berkhamsted, Dunstable, you've got them sort of ones all around each other playing each other. So maybe a little advantage to those 2 teams.
Definitely, yeah. I would have thought so, and. A little sideline to the Welwyn Garden City situation. They shared a goalless draw with Berkhamsted on Tuesday, but they're back on home soil on Saturday, and at non-league day coincides with their centenary, and they're actually hosting bottom side Wantage Town at Turns Lane on Saturday, but they're making it a bit of a celebratory day for their centenary, free for everybody. So get along to Hearns Lane and enjoy your non-league football free of charge, at courtesy of the citizens. But the Alfredians, their place in the division, is hanging by a thread, and the bottom two, including Colney Heath, who were at St Neots Town on Saturday, they look like they're heading back. They're heading back down to step 5. Colney Heath after just that one season. The playoff relegation spot, that dreaded third bottom spot, looks to be between Kempston Rovers, Hertford Town and Kidlington, with Barton Rovers perhaps just having enough points in the bag thanks to that midweek win. Kempston are at Tame United on Saturday, while Hertford host Didcot Town, and Kidlington are also at home at Yarnton Road, with Waltham Abbey travelling across to Oxfordshire. Barton Rovers have the toughest task, though. They take on Ware at Watson Park. And your mob, Harlow Town, they're got a mid-table clash, shall we call it now, against Aylesbury United.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I'm not sure if I'm going to get there this week or not, but we shall see if we can get there. But one thing I must say as well, because last week as well, the Harlow striker Alex Reid managing to get his 200th goal for Harlow in a disappointing 2-1 defeat to Waltham Abbey at the weekend. So it was a local derby for me. Yeah, so that was the only highlight, I think, of the day last week. So, congratulations to him. But I mean, with that, and, we've been through the leagues that we've done there. And do you think that these playoff positions, the relegation playoff positions, that it's really made that sort of part of it more exciting at the bottom of the table for this season?
Yeah, it certainly means that there are very, very few what you'd call meaningless matches. Whereas, in years gone past, you got to the sort of end of March, April time, and you had a plethora of games involving teams that had very little to play for apart from pride. But now you look at virtually every division, and there's either a playoff place, a championship place, or a relegation spot, all up for grabs, all on the cards, or with the games that are involved. So it does make it a lot more exciting. Whether or not the managers think that is a different matter. But
yeah, well, it's certainly going to make it interesting. We wish everybody this weekend, me and Steve, we wish everybody a fantastic non-league day. Enjoy your non-league day. And remember, football's not all about what you see on the TV. It's about non-league football, where the passion for me is greater than what you see in the Premier League and on the TV. So get yourselves down there. If you don't normally support a non-league side, then try and have a look up, see who your local non-league side is, and get yourself down to the games at the weekend. Me and Steve will be back next week with Steve's preview of next weekend's games. But hopefully you've enjoyed our first show, and we will see you next week. So goodbye from me.
Goodbye.
And goodbye from Steve.